Hey, babe.
What's up, love?
So, how many times do you think we got divorced in 2024?
I'd say two, maybe three, but two.
Yeah, I think that's,
Probably last night.
well,
or
for
the day,
sure.
yeah, because just so y'all know, we actually recorded a podcast last night, and it got so heated that I said, I'm fucking leaving. I literally got up, walked off, hit stop on the video. Annie ended up deleting it, thankfully, because it was just too much. But anyhow,
It was bad. It was really bad. And I deleted the podcast. And I came in here and finished it out, and it was very emotional. And then after all of that, I ended up deleting the whole thing. So it was that was bad. But here we are.
Not that I don't want people to like see a bad side of us or true side or whatever, but it was just there was just too much aggression in it yesterday, I think.
It was. So we're gonna talk about that as well as some other things to
Aggression's not the right word.
Up
Frustration.
2024. So let's see what happens.
If you've tuned in to see if you can argue with your spouse and still be madly in love, you're in the right spot.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Annie.
And we're the
Kilkos.
Sound like a game show.
We're your host of Life's Little Arguments. We're not trained experts in love and marriage. Actually, we might be quite dysfunctional, but we have been happily married for 16 years.
Debatable.
Not only will we share all the ups and downs of marriage, but the ins and outs of raising his and her kids, growing through new jobs and opportunities, and our latest obsession, our empty nest babies, our dogs, Blakely and Lincoln.
So if you hear ting, ting, ting across the microphone, they're probably walking across the floor.
Listen in each week while we discuss our life, current events, random TikToks, and the little arguments that undoubtedly come up. Whether you're in a long-term relationship yourself or in a fresh new relationship, we hope you find our podcast fun, entertaining, and helps you realize there is a normal in life's little arguments.
All right, so I guess we probably need to, it's the last argument.
Do like a recap?
I think, fingers crossed,
Okay.
It is the last argument of 2024. We are recording this on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I was hoping to have it out before actually today, but we are headed out to a party, and so we're trying to just scooch this in real quick before we leave. So
this will be a shorter one, I think.
yeah. So what time is it? It's like 5:30.
5:20.
So we only have like 6.5 hours to make it without fighting.
Listen,
So that's our last
I would
argument.
love to say that that's a guarantee, but I doubt that that's the case.
It's not always a guarantee.
Especially when you started your mimosa at 11 or whatever time this morning.
No, it was like 1, and it was
Okay.
only one I
Yeah,
had, but it was really good. It was really strong.
I saw your video on it.
It was a little splashy splash of lemonade
Yeah.
and mostly champagne, so it was good. So I don't even know, how do we even start to talk about this?
You want to do a recap, or are you talking about from yesterday's argument? Or what are you talking about?
Yeah, we're just going to very quickly take a couple of minutes and talk about the argument yesterday, because I think it's a big one. I think it's a touchy subject, especially for any other maybe women out there that work from home or maybe are a homemaker. You know, they raise the kids, they take care of the house, whatever, because that's kind of the position I'm in right now, and it causes a power dynamic. It could, let me say could.
Sure.
It doesn't always, but it could lend itself to a very different power dynamic between the couple that can cause problems.
Yeah, and I think communication's probably extra important in this situation, and I feel like that we just have not really broken it down and talked about it as well as we should. Well, I mean, amongst each other, you and I. We should also state that, like, this has literally been the first time we've ever been in a position where you're not working.
Correct.
You know, for the last year, basically. In just, I guess, 14 months. But I think that what I heard yesterday was more... There was some things going on internally that I think were bothering you or that were weighing on you that I don't know that I necessarily realized as much. I've always wondered if you were going to be able to be a quote-unquote housewife, and I'm only using that word because that's what you called it, because I do feel like
I prefer stay-at-home dog mom.
Stay-at-home dog mom. I've always wondered if you would even have the ability to do that.
What? Hold on. What do you mean ability?
Well, because
Explain yourself.
Because I feel like you're maybe not the most domesticated, which is fine. Like that doesn't do anything for me. I don't need you to do stuff for me and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing is, I feel like kind of what you're talking about. There's a little bit of a power struggle when it's, well, hold on now. Like, you're not getting up at 8 a.m. You're not talking to angry customers. You're not having a problem solve. You're not having to do all these things that you have had to do for the last 20 years. And there are going to be certain things that maybe I probably expect. And maybe that's the wrong word, and maybe that's the wrong approach. In fact, I realized after our argument yesterday, it probably is the wrong approach. But what I got from that yesterday was that I feel like that you're probably struggling a little bit more than I realized to find your identity, if you will, find your purpose, if you will. And I know that you talk a lot about that with manifestation and all the things that you're into, but I don't know that I realized you not having a job was kind of compounding that a little bit, if that makes sense.
It's this is the first time in my life since high school that I've not had a job. And you think that when you have a job and you're like, oh my God, I just want to stay at home, like, you think it's going to be the best thing. And I'm not complaining in any way, shape, or form, because it is fantastic and it allows me to do things that I've never been able to do before. However, I have this feeling of I am completely and totally dependent on you. And I've never been in a situation where I have not contributed to the family or been able to provide for myself or my child, which that's not my problem. I don't have that issue anymore, but just being able to provide for myself. And I realized after we kind of got into that, that is still an issue that I'm dealing with. I do not like that feeling. I don't like that feeling of not being able to take care of myself, really. I mean, and not saying that, it's not to say that I don't want you to provide for me or that I don't appreciate that. It's just, a deconditioning, really. I mean, I've always done it. I've always prided myself on that. It was always I can take care of myself. I can take care of myself and take care of my child. And I did it for, 20 plus years. And now I'm not in that position where I'm doing that. And it's very difficult. And then you layer on the what the stresses that you have or expectations that you've put out there or that you haven't put out there, but in your mind, you have these expectations of me because of this. And we've not really talked through those, and it just all really came to a head.
Yeah, I think all that's fair. I think the other thing, and you kind of touched on it, that I guess I don't know that I was really thinking about, but it kind of hit me is, you basically saying something along the lines of, if anything were to ever happen to us, I don't have...
Yeah.
I don't have a plan B, kind of thing, because I'm not working. I can't, And so when you said that yesterday in the heat of the moment, I think it really kind of that's probably one of the things that triggered me a little bit yesterday, because first of all, I'm sitting here thinking, well, why are you even thinking about that? Something happening to us. And then, I think that when we got to kind of arguing a little bit yesterday, I felt like there was a little bit of a lack of appreciation, if you will.
Right.
And so that kind of, like you said, come to a head. And because we've not talked about these things maybe as much as we should have or could have. And so later, after a few hours or whatever, I started kind of thinking about those things. I try to put myself in your shoes, and, I probably would feel the same way, and I'm kind of torn because I love for you to be home. Like, I love it. I love for you to be home in the morning to take care of the dogs. I love for you to be home in the evening. I don't have to worry about you're going to get home at 8 o'clock and when we're going to have dinner. Like I love that you're here every Friday night and Saturday. Like, those things I really, really genuinely enjoy. And that's why I'm pushing to say, look, if you don't want to work, like, I'm cool with that. I absolutely love you being here. But after thinking about it yesterday or last night, kind of after we talked a little bit more about it, it's like, well, am I being selfish in thinking like that? Because I don't ever want you to make a decision for you if it's not right for you based on just me. You know what I mean? And the more I thought about it, I was like, well, shit, maybe I am being selfish if it's really making her feel like she doesn't have a purpose, or she doesn't have, the interaction or whatever it is that you're, or just the confidence or the know-withal that if something were to happen, or even if something doesn't happen, that you're making a contribution. Like, if that stuff is bothering you that much, it's selfish of me to say, well, look, I really want you to be home. You know what I mean? And so I struggled a little bit with that yesterday, but that was kind of where I ended, after we had a talk, because I really wasn't thinking about it like that to begin with. So
to just give some context, the backstory here, on Sunday, I went to a sound bath, and it started at 1, and I was gone until like 4, and I had brought food home because I had not yet gone to the grocery store for this coming week. It was Sunday. Always go to the grocery store on Sunday. It's never not a thing. So I didn't think anything about it. But then once I went to the sound bath, I was very into the whole thing. I came home, you were in the middle of a movie, and so I decided to go upstairs. I wanted to cleanse my crystals. So I tell you, hey, you're in the middle of a movie? Yeah, I'm in the middle of a movie. Okay, I'm going to go upstairs and cleanse my crystals. I give you a kiss that you apparently do not remember happening, and I go upstairs to cleanse my crystals. I said, I'm going to have my earbuds in because I don't want to be able to, I need to listen to music. I don't want to be able to hear this movie. And I didn't say how long I would be up here. I didn't give any type of expectation, I guess, to you on what you should expect. And I was up here for quite a while. And you then decided that you wanted to make a graphic for your customer review that came through. And you, I guess, telling me that a review came through should have been the indication to me that I needed to go make you a graphic. But that was not clear to me. So I didn't think anything about it. I'm continuing to do my crystals. I'm up here doing my thing. So you decided you're going to make the graphic yourself, and you can't get into Canva. And it's a whole thing.
I can't get into your Canva.
Sure, you can't get into my Canva.
There's prior templates and all that stuff. It's already done.
Sure.
I couldn't get into yours, but it's not because I've not gotten into yours before, because I have plenty of times. It was because there's yet another sign-on for another like I ended up going, and it showed like 5 different logins. The last one was blah blah blah. And it was like, well, why did we create this other one? Like, we now have 5 logins. But anyhow, that's where my frustration started to kind of elevate a little bit. So I'm yelling to you upstairs, what's your freaking password? You're saying, I don't know. And I'm like, well, it's going to send you a code. And you were like, well, I don't want to reset the password. And I'm like, well, if they send you a code, they're going to ask you to reset the password, because they just did the same thing to me. And it was like, we're going back and forth upstairs. And I'm like, so you don't want me to set the freaking password? We have 5 different logons at this point. You're telling me not to send it. And so, can
we time out? Because I feel like you're getting activated all over again.
No,
you're the tone in your voice is getting real close to where your tone was the other day. So
because you're right. You're right. But I was so frustrated at that point. But anyhow,
but it wasn't about the Canva. When we maybe take it down deeper, once we finally did. Once you came up here and you had all your tone and your attitude, I told you.
So we got through it. You did the graphic for me and all this other stuff. So really what it kind of boiled down to was.
Well, no, I kicked you out. Like, it was a whole thing. Like, it was the rest of the night, the whole day.
Okay.
The whole entire day. Like, it was bad. It was bad. I told you, like we were getting divorced. We were separating. Like, this is it. And so that's.
She's exaggerating a little bit.
Well, no, but that's,
yeah.
I am exaggerating. Like, that was an exaggeration saying it, and I shouldn't say that in frustration. But yeah, that's kind of, it was bad. And so when we finally got to a point where we could speak about all this in a manner that both of us were at a point where we were willing to listen.
Which apparently the Igloo was a good sounding board for that.
For me, I mean, I spent a lot of time out there. Yeah. And, you know, come to find out, there was, you know, some things layered down below for you. And then the whole thing triggered feelings in me that I thought I kind of had, you know, been able to move past. And I'm realizing now that I still have some issues with.
So what do you think? What do you think my underlying issue was?
The lack of appreciation. I think you felt like there was a lack of appreciation from me in being able to stay at home and, you know, do the things that I'm doing. The lack of appreciation in showing you like doing this graphic, which I completely understand. But the way that you brought it up to me, you said, and I think that's what really triggered me, is that I hadn't even gone to the grocery store. And like it was my sole duty in life to go to the fucking grocery store. Like, and I feel like, I hope we're not fixing to get into it again, because I can see based on your face. But I think I don't mind doing those things. But I guess part of my point was, this day was no different than any other Sunday as far as the grocery store. Now, what I do understand is I didn't come in, I didn't like show you the attention that you needed. But you know what? I had been with you for like 5 straight days, like literally connected at the hip for the last 5 straight days. Forgive me for needing an entire 8 hours to myself to do my own things, because I had not come up here to do any of that. And I realize now that I still just have to have a communicate with you that I need to do that, and hopefully you'll be okay with it.
Right. And so I appreciate you saying that, because this conversation can make it sound like I'm very controlling, and I'm not very controlling.
No, and I'm not trying to make it sound like that at all.
But my
want. The way you said going to the grocery store, like that makes it sound horrible.
But you got it like so. The week before was Christmas. I mean, we were doing cookies. We were going here. We were going there. We had people over and all that. So last week wasn't the normal. We didn't go to the grocery store the weekend before, like for the entire week, like we normally would. We went a couple of times to get stuff very, very specific, and so I had already said a couple of times, I don't have anything for lunch. And this was on like day 3 of not having anything for lunch. And I had already eaten fast food like 2 or 3 days in a row, which you know I can't stand doing when I eat a sandwich every day for lunch. And so, and it's kind of like, the client review. Like me bringing it up that day was not the first time I had said I got a new client review. And I had said it a few times, I guess with the thinking that, okay, if she knows I got a new client review, at some point she's probably going to say, would you want me to put it into a graphic or something like that? If I had said, I don't have anything to eat, at some point, well, hey, I can go to the grocery store. It's not Sunday yet, but I'll go get you some stuff or whatever. Okay, I could have done it myself, and I eventually did do it for myself. I eventually did go get my ham and cheese and bread.
For the next day that you needed for the next day, that I went the next day and was home by lunchtime.
Because you said I'm going to go very next thing in the morning. Well, I feel like my recollection, I can't ever say that word, was that you had said that a couple times throughout the week and it didn't happen. So anyhow, that's kind of just one piece of it. And so I was, again, being selfish. Last week, the last week wasn't a normal week, but it was just, I was just frustrated. I was just frustrated. But anyways, the whole coming back from this 3-hour thing that you went and did is I told you this last night. Like, I love that you get into manifestation. I love that you get into self-care. I love that you get into the spirituality. Like that stuff, I really do love it. I try to live vicariously through it because it's not necessarily something that I'm going to do, but I love hearing about it and I love the way it makes you feel. But when you come home from being gone for 3 hours, like just a little communication was like, hey, look, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm in the zone right now. I really love this sound bath. I'm in the zone. I'd love to take advantage of kind of being in the zone. I don't know how long it's going to take. It may take 2 hours. Okay. At least I had some level of expectation or some level of understanding, but it was like, you come home, sure, you got food and we spent 15 minutes while I'm eating or we're eating or whatever, but then you just like dart right up here and it's just like, well, hold on. Like, you've been going for 3-4 hours, whatever, and you come home and then you're immediately, and I have no idea how long you're going to be up there. I mean, I don't know. It was just frustrating. The whole thing was frustrating. And then when we got to arguing about it, I think this underlying stuff kind of come out, which is probably good because it needed to come out anyways. But it was too heated, I think, because we've talked before about this, and I think you're really good at not saying things that you don't mean because you don't want to hurt, and I tried to be that way, but I feel like yesterday we probably reached that level a little bit more than we ordinarily would.
Yeah.
And I don't like that side of us anyways, period. So anyhow, that was it. It was a constructive argument in the fact that it later led to some good communication and just what I'm expecting. And again, I don't want it to be like, you have to check in with me or else, or I'm controlling it. Like I'm not like that at all, but I do. And maybe it's because I overly communicate, maybe it's because when I'm leaving, like I start missing you and I'm calling you, and I'm not, and I know that
I feel like this had more to do with you just being in pain. Like you have been hurting from your back.
I haven't been to the gym in a week and a half.
3 weeks, and you need to go get it seen about. And I really feel it because this is not an abnormal thing. And this whole grocery store, like I feel like you keep coming back to this grocery store, and it does make you sound like an asshole. I'm not gonna lie,
but let me defend myself.
No. Hold on. This is a situation that has probably happened numerous times during this past year, and you will just. If you have ran out of stuff for lunch, because that's really what it comes down to is your lunch food. If you have ran out of stuff for lunch, you will just go get it. Like you don't go into this temper tantrum that basically you did. And so it was when you start throwing up this whole grocery store thing, I'm so thrown off and taken by surprise that it
was a combination of everything. You're right. My back has been hurting for the last week and a half. I've not been to the gym. I've not been able to move. I've not been able to bend down and tie my shoe without it hurting. I mean, all of those, and that's a constant annoyance for 24 hours a day. And I've been able to sleep with, so all of it kind of plays into it. But when it comes to like the housewife thing, here's my underlying thought on this, and I'm going to sound like an asshole. But if you don't have to go to work, you don't have to deal with customers. You don't have to problem solve. You don't have to do all these things that people don't like about their job. I think it's fair to say over the course of a week, between cleaning the house and going to the grocery store and helping me on the few things that I need help with on social media, you're probably looking at 6 hours over the course of a week. And so when you think about it from that perspective, sure, I could go get my own stuff. I do it all the time. I've done it multiple times. It's not been a problem until last week. But when you think about it from that perspective, surely you could agree that I don't ask you to do a whole lot.
Correct.
Okay.
And surely you can agree that you are the one that has said multiple times over and over and over and over that you are the one that would prefer for me to stay home and not work.
And I do, and I still feel like that, but I'm changing my tone on that because if it really does affect you and makes you feel a certain type of way.
Yeah. We talked about
Sure.
that. That was the end of this whole thing. We're still talking through the beginning.
But yeah, I prefer it because I prefer to not have to worry about taking care of the dogs or going to the grocery store or cleaning out. Like I prefer not to have to take care of that stuff. And in exchange for that,
I also prefer to not have to worry about that stuff. So we are at an impasse. What do we do?
We're not at an impasse. I mean, we just have to communicate it better. But again, I think the last week has been, and I damn sure can never say this word, an anomaly for a number of reasons, schedule and all that stuff. But it just come to a head. But we're fine.
It
It's
does.
good.
And I don't, like, you make me sound like I am a slob and that
No.
I'm lazy and don't do anything. Like that, I am the one that for the last 2 weeks, basically, have determined, okay, what kind of food are we going to have on Christmas
Agreed.
Eve, and what are we doing on Christmas Day,
Did
and what are we
cookies and
doing on the day
everything.
after Christmas, and so I made preparations for all of this. So for you to have ran out of sandwich food on a Friday or a Saturday, like, okay, cool. Like, I planned up through Friday. I planned up through Friday, and you were fed up through Friday. And then we had plans on Saturday. And
So we'll move on past this. But here's the other thing I want to say about kind of our breakthrough conversation is.
It doesn't sound like we had a breakthrough, honestly.
But we really did. I mean, we really did. But here's the other thing, and I wanted to, and I'm glad it came out because I've been trying to figure out how do I make this clear to you, because one of the things that bothers you about me is I'm a planner. At 3:00 in the afternoon, I'll say, "What are we doing for dinner?" And in your mind, that means, shit, he's expecting me to get up and dinner better be ready at 5:00. Most of the time, that's not what it means. Most of the time, I just want to know. Why do you think my daughter does it? She's exactly like me when it comes to that. She'll ask at 8:00 in the morning, "What are we doing for dinner?" We are planners. When I ask for something on social media, you're the type of person that will push and push and push. Push meaning, I'll do it later. I'll get to it. I'll start it. That's not the way my mind works. My mind works is when I want something done, we need to do it and be done with it. So it's off the list, and I'm ready to move on and do something else. And so what I felt was important to come across to you yesterday was you talk to me all the time about human design, and Kent, that's the way I am, and that's the way Jackson is designed, and that's the way Lauren, like you talk about that all the time when it comes to things the way you are, but never is it maybe I need to be a little bit more understanding or the way Ken is, because that is his human design. And I felt like that gets ignored quite a bit. And I'm like, well, hold on. You can't play the human card design or human design card for just you if you're not going to be willing to be open to the way other people's human design is. And so I'm glad that came out too, because that's kind of been weighing on me.
I agree. And that is correct. We do have somewhat of an impasse at times, because there are times where if there's something that I'm doing and I'm interrupted, I'm asked to stop what I'm doing to go do what it is that you have to have done right that second. That is infuriating to me. And that's just the way that I am built. It literally is in my human design. That's
just
the
like
way
it's in
I'm
my
built.
human design.
And I agree. So how do we navigate that?
We just communicate better. It doesn't happen all the time, but yeah.
Anyway.
So anyhow, I'm glad that part came out during our breakthrough conversation. So I love you. I'm glad we had the conversation. I have no ill will about it. I'm not frustrated by it anymore. I'm not upset by it anymore. I feel like it was a good conversation.
Great.
You clearly don't feel that way. You're just good. We're not YouTubing right now, because people would be reading all of your face. Your facial expressions. You could absolutely not be a poker player. I couldn't either, because I'd laugh the whole time. But
Anyway, okay.
I thought this was going to be a short episode.
It is going to be a short episode, but we definitely needed to talk about that. And no, I do feel, I think we did come to an understanding on some things, and I think it does come down to the communication part. You cannot assume that you saying, "Hey, I got a client review today," means that, "Hey, Annie, will you stop everything that you're doing and make a graphic?" That does not signal that to me. I need a very clear, will you make this for me, and when can I expect? Maybe that's what it is. Will you make this, and when can I expect it? Yeah. Versus, I need you to stop everything that you're doing right this second and do this for me.
Well, and that's just an example. I mean, TikTok's the same way. Instantly, anytime I want to do anything on social media.
All of it. So we're still fumbling kind of through
so
all
it'll
that.
be interesting to see how much you really want a quote unquote job. That'll be funny to see.
Oh, funny, huh?
Whether or not you really want to start getting up in the mornings and working the evenings and the weekends.
That's a whole nother touchy situation because it's been very difficult to find anything.
Yeah,
so
I
don't want to go through that right now. But anyway, I had some questions I wanted to kind of look back on 2024 and, what were like some highlights? Is there anything that challenged you? Anything any one moment that's like, oh man, this was like my favorite moment, or anything that was like such a challenge that you worked through it and were excited about? Or anything that you are wanting to leave in 2024?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, it seems like ages ago, but I guess, when I got into real estate, I was on a team initially, and that was October of 23. Mm-hmm. And I did that into February of 24. So I was officially on my own in February of 24. And that was scary, but that was the plan the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was, I wanted to be part of a team to learn contracts and kind of learn some of the basic stuff that I needed to learn to even be able to do business. And I felt like I got that. And, because I do rely pretty heavily on marketing the Kent Kilco brand. And it's, when you're on a team, you're not really marketing Kent Kilco brand. You're marketing, right, the other person's brand. And I was very appreciative for the time that I had on the team that I was on. But I would say kind of taking that step in February is like, okay, we got to figure this shit out. You know what I mean? So it was exciting, scary, all that stuff. And it was rewarding. I finished the year, I think, at like let's just call it 3.4 million, 13 families served. So this is where it's very easy to kind of compare yourself to other people, either A, people who've been doing this for years, or B, people whose first year may have been in 2022,
right,
when the market booming. Was exceptional. Right. And, so I all in all, I'm pleased with kind of the year that we had, or the year that I had in real estate. But I really and truly feel like that this is just the very beginnings of what you and I are going to be able to accomplish moving forward. So right. I'm pretty excited about it.
I feel as though 2024 was a big year for self-discovery for me, and I'm actually oh God, why am I getting emotional about this? But I see that I definitely still have some work to do. I'm very thankful for everything that I was able, to do this year, and to spend as much time as I did at home and like with friends and doing things and with the dogs. And I'm so incredibly grateful for all the people in our life and all the things. And I think probably one of the biggest things was, seeing Jackson and Ashley build a house and move out. So that was very exciting and rewarding to be able to see your adult children succeed in life, like doing things that are exciting to them, and working through struggles. Like, you don't want to see them struggle, but when they do and they work through that and they come out the other side, like it's just another level of proud parenting moment. You feel so good to watch them do that. So I've got to do that this year. I was very excited about. I don't know. So it's just all very it just makes me very emotional, all of it, to think about just the things that I've been able to learn about myself this year. Just having the space to do that has been really, really cool. And so I'm very excited about that. And I'm looking forward to 2025, because I do think that it took all of 2024 for me to go through so many things. I went through a lot of different things that I was going to be when I grow up. And I think I'm finally, I'm to a point where, hell, I don't know if I'm going to be anything when I grow up, but I know what I enjoy, and I know who I enjoy being around, and I'm very confident in that. So I want to leave that like imposter syndrome piece really back in 2024. And in 2025, like I'm moving full steam ahead with what it is that I'm interested in doing. And does that mean that I will stick with that and it will always be that? Probably not. Based on my history and based on my human design, that's not the way I'm meant to work. But, who knows?
It's crazy though. And I really do applaud you about this, because there are thousands of people, maybe even millions of people, who probably go their entire life and really never discover this part of spirituality. You know what I mean? This part of themselves, or whether or not it's your inner, or the universe, or God, or what. It's just, I think sometimes people just kind of go through the motions so much that they don't really dive into this stuff and really understand themselves and their human design and their makeup, and why they're here, and all that stuff. And so, like, I applaud you for acknowledging that. And here's the thing, like, what you're going to be when you grow up, you're right. I mean, shit, like at 49 years old, you may not work the rest of your life if that's what you choose to do. But if you have fulfillment in other ways, like, to me, that's worth more than any job you could ever have.
I think that's probably the biggest aha moment, like, that I'm so thankful for, is coming into the human design piece and understanding that, as part of my archetype, as being a manifester, that I am meant to create and initiate, to birth ideas, and I'm not going to follow these ideas through. It's meant for me to hand these off to people for them to go and, do something with, or to put it into the universe, and then it's done. And the fact that, like, just knowing my entire life, I have been that person that starts and stops and starts and stops. Well, that's literally the way I was meant to work. And it was always, I've had such shame around that, and that I'm really embracing that now, and moving forward with that. And so I really think that's what I was trying to get to, is I'm moving past that shame of that.
Shame. Were we saying that the other day?
We were
shame.
I don't remember. I don't remember what we were doing that on. But anyway, do you have a word for 2025?
Mine is action.
Action. So
yeah. So somebody, of course, there's posts on Facebook, what's your word and everything else, and
I posted one.
Okay, well, I haven't commented on yours, but I immediately
no action there.
No, but I immediately, that was the word. Like, there wasn't a lot of thought, there wasn't a lot of hesitation.
That was your gut reaction.
It was my gut reaction, and because which is
your design.
You know this. I don't do well with boredom. I don't do well with.
No, you do not.
Sitting here. I don't. And so whether it be through exercise, through learning a new language, through roofing, through real estate, through staying active, like I really want to push myself to constantly be involved in something, whether or not it's physical, not physical, whatever. And I think that's where I'm going to find my fulfillment, and I think that's where I'm probably going to excel in 2025 in ways that I've not done before.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it.
So that'll be interesting, because you and I are very different in what we like. Like, I like to learn all of these different things, these different modalities, spirituality, whatever. And that is not your jam. You don't mind hearing about it, me talking about it, but you don't want to sit down and learn those type of things. And so it is, it's a very delicate balancing act time-wise of making sure that I have the time to do those things. You have the time to go do the things that you like to do that I don't necessarily want to go do. And then having that time, that quality time together. So that will be interesting if your word is action for 2025. It'll bring a whole new set of life's little arguments, I'm guessing.
What is your one word?
My word for 2025 is bloom. It came to me, same thing. It's kind of my intuition.
Bloom as in like a flower?
Bloom as in like a flower. Like, it is a new beginning for me. New things are blooming. And I think that's just the thing. Like, it's a constant new beginning for me all the time. And so I feel like that's my word. I think there's big things for me coming. I don't exactly know what it is, but
Is your Yanni going to rebloom?
I feel like my Yanni's been reblooming.
She's been good.
I feel like she's been doing better. Yeah. So I think we talked about that last episode, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so I think that's cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for 2025. I'm excited for everything that we've got in store. I love our life, and I love you, and I thank you, and I do appreciate you.
I love you.
Giving me letting me be the out of the box crazy person that
I love you.
On the outside, I probably seem like I am.
I appreciate you. You should post this. I sent Annie this Facebook message today. You should post what I'm talking about, the black pie. So I don't, man, it almost literally got me choked up because it really kind of spoke to what's been going on over the last couple of days and appreciation and that kind of thing. And so long and short of it is this girl, was talking about her grandma used to make this best apple pie ever. The granddad has always liked it, whatever. Well, anyways, there was this one time where the grandma cooked an apple pie and it was burnt. Like, it wasn't like brown. It was like burnt. And the grandpa ate it and said it tasted good. And then a little bit later, I think the granddaughter, whoever it was like, hey, like, why did you not tell?
Like, did you lie? Did you really like it?
Yeah. And he was like, your grandma makes a good apple pie. And he said, but she's also tired. She's also been stressed out.
She had a tough day.
She also had a tough day. And he said, so me saying something about
a mean word.
Yeah, a mean word would not have, added any value to the conversation. Would have made her feel some type of way. Obviously, you're going to read it. You'll see it. It's put a lot more eloquently than the way that I'm doing it. But it was just like perfect timing because I feel like that sometimes Annie and I will kind of push each other's buttons and we kind of get frustrated with one another. I mean, the examples that she's brought up and the examples that I've brought up, it's kind of like this pie situation, and but I think we all just have to kind of take a step back and really think about what someone's going through, what they're thinking, or what they need from you as a person, and what you need from them as a person. And it really just kind of spoke to me. So I think it's important to share that with you guys, and you could maybe apply it to your relationship. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate our listeners, and I love doing this podcast. I don't care if anybody listens or not. I think it's been so good for our relationship, and I hope that we can continue this because it is something that I absolutely look forward to every week. So I don't know why I'm crying right now. Oh my God.
All right.
Okay.
Love you guys.
I love you guys. Bye. We love and appreciate you so very much. Thank you so much for being here with us in this year of 2024. And if you have enjoyed our podcast, please consider giving us a rate and review. And you know what? Share it with somebody else that you think would also really love to hear us. So we love you guys so much. Thank you.